Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the channel. This is Red Prep, the final Red Prep for this season, and we're building up to Manchester Derby in the FA Cup final at Wembley. Manchester City will be the home team in this fixture, and they'll be buoyed by the fact they have created another piece of history, fourth straight league trophy, which has never happened in English football, especially in the Premier League. Whereas for United will miss out on any kind of European football if they are not able to win against City on Saturday. And this will be the second time after the David Moyes disastrous campaign that we'll miss out on European action altogether. Obviously, both clubs stand at the polar opposite, extreme opposite position in terms of spectrum. Manchester City are top of the table, they're top of the perch. They are topping every kind of metric that you can think of in terms of football, in terms of football quality, and certainly in terms of success on and off the pitch. Whereas Man United, with 25% impetus recently added by Sir Jim Glazer, they're still reeling, they're still in doldrums. This is probably the worst season in the Premier League, full stop. Plus, they're still unsure about whether to sack the manager. Rumors are there if Ten Hag shows even modicum of good attacking play in terms of enterprising football, that he can retain his job, which is just the sorry state that we find ourselves in. I mean, the people at the top are dilly-dallying. They don't know. They're not sure about anything. There are rumors of Pochettino. There are rumors about Gareth Southgate or even McKenna. It couldn't be a bigger mess even if they try to. This is fictional stuff. I think on Sunday, the difference between the two clubs, the chasm between the two clubs, even though they belong to the same city, will be apparent on the pitch. Coming to historical head-to-head, obviously this is a 143rd Manchester Derby. Obviously, United have a slight edge. But recently, of course, we know that City have totally dominated. Even last season, the FA Cup final, they won at a canter, even though the score wouldn't suggest that. Overall, in the FA Cups, we've played 11 times. United just edging with 6 victories and City with 4. And this will be United's 22nd appearance in the FA Cup final, one more than Arsenal, who obviously got the highest number of FA Cup, 14, with United at 12. City, however, are languishing 7, but the gap is closing fast. Like every other trophy, they are competing. Coming to football style and the pattern of play for City, it's an open secret. Everybody knows how Guardiola likes to play the tiki-taka football with intense pressing, even with forwards who are diminutive in nature and size, but they all give 110% every time they're on the pitch. Obviously, the star of the show will be Foden, the player of the season, both PFA and Football Writers Associations. He'll be at the top of his game, I'm sure. He'll be confident after performing in the Premier League as well as the Champions League recently. And all over the pitch, I think they hardly have any injuries. I think only Edison will be missing, but Ortega played decently against us in the FA Cup final last year, so I don't think that'll be a big miss. There are rumors that Edison might be out in the summer as well. I think Ortega is probably the best second choice keeper in the world. I think they'll be easily covered in that area. In defense, all the defenders are fit and firing. They are not even playing the likes of Stones, who were the stalwarts of the treble season. They are not even using the likes of Grealish, who was another ever present in last year's treble winning side. Top Erling Haaland, another Golden Boot with 27 goals. I think he's got like 36 goals in all competitions already this season. Even more than him, I think the likes of De Bruyne and Foden and obviously Bernardo Silva in that middle area, in the midfield, I think they'll be a biggest threat for Manchester United. Coming to danger man, of course, we discussed Erling Haaland, the top goal scorer. Foden, of course, the most informed player in the country. Obviously, De Bruyne is always good against Manchester United. He hasn't hit the top form recently, even in the Champions League exit against Real Madrid. I think he was off color and he hasn't been in top form recently. But of course, he can definitely rise to the occasion and deliver one of his best performances in FA Cup final. Certainly, the likes of Doku and Kovacic have come in this season. They played their part. Not sure that Doku will start. I think they might go with Kovacic in midfield just for extra assurance, but they can always use Doku with his pace and bring him in the second half to torment us on the wings. In midfield, of course, the metronome Rodri, probably the best midfielder, all-round midfielder in the world. I think he's the heartbeat. He's the one that keeps them ticking. I think he provides them assurance against counter-attack. Obviously, scoring some important goals. His quality on the ball as well. So he'll be a threat. In defense, they've been using Diaz and Akanji. I think they'll stick with them. Guardiola has been in stellar form over the last 6 weeks or so, especially against Real Madrid. Even in the league, he scored 5 or 6 goals in a month, I think. So he's in top form. Obviously, Kyle Walker is the sweeper. He's the insurance policy against counter-attack, especially with United. We'll probably use counter-attack as our only play. So I think against Garnacho, I think he can easily neutralize that. Edison will be a miss for any other team, but I think for Manchester City, I think Ortega is a competent replacement and certainly not a big drop in quality. Let's move to the tactical board and bring you the prospective lineups and formation for the very last time this season. Of course, for Manchester United, it will be straight 4-2-3-1. I think Martinez and Varane are fit and firing. I think they'll start this match. They both played decent amount of minutes and look nice against Brighton, so I think they'll start. I think Amrabat will be dropped. He didn't play well against Brighton. I think he struggled against high pressing side, so I think Casemiro will be back. I like to see Amrabat start, to be honest, because Casemiro, I don't think he can play that deep lying playmaker role. I rather see Menu dropping deep and Casemiro be move slightly high where he can give some incisive pass in the final third. Rather see him in a more advanced role, probably as an 8, and both Fernandes and him making a triangle with Menu in midfield and HOJLUND being the target man. I think HOJLUND needs to start using his pace a lot. I think while HOJLUND might start, I can see him sticking to the formation he's been playing with McTominay and Fernandes playing as two up front. Obviously, Fernandes drops back in defense when they are pressing, and we play with the 4-4-2 in pressing, which has been compact, and we haven't conceded that many goals. Though against Brighton, we didn't look that solid. Obviously, I think Garnacho is going to start. Rashford has come in fit. I don't think he deserves a start. I think Ahmad and Garnacho have done enough to start this match, but I am afraid by the fact and by the history of Eric Ten Hag, where he has shown, unqualified loyalty to his players, and he might start the likes of Rashford on the left wing and play Garnacho on the right wing like he played against Brighton in the second half. But I like to see Ahmad start. Of course, DIALLO has played well recently. He inverts and is always involved in the attack. Also has scored a few goals. Wan-Bissaka, I think he should stick to the right back position. He knows what to do there. He needs to be perspicacious and aware of his lines, defensive lines, when we are trying to set up offside traps. He needs to be vigilant of that. Otherwise, I think the team is settled. I think this is a team that should start. For Manchester City, of course, they've got everybody fit apart from Edison, who is a miss, but I think Ortega is a decent replacement for him. Of course, they're going to start with Walker, Diaz, Akanji, Guardiola. They've all been in decent form recently. Rodri is a must. Of course, Silva, De Bruyne, and Foden and Haaland are sure shot starters, but I'm not sure about Doku. Maybe he'll go with somebody like Kovacic and plays Foden on the wing, or even the likes of Grealish. But I think he might be confident enough to drop Kovacic and go all out attack with the likes of Doku. Kovacic does give them a lot of control. So does Grealish. So they might opt for that, especially in the beginning, and then bring on Doku in the second half when the defenders for United are a bit tired. And of course, the pace of Doku is his biggest asset. So he might go there. Of course, Haaland. I think Varane played decently against Haaland in the FA Cup final last year. I'm not worried about Haaland as well. Of course, he can score, and he has scored a hat-trick against United. Scored against us at Old Trafford as well in the Premier League. I'm more concerned about the likes of Silva, Foden and De Bruyne, who play between the lines, especially find spaces between our fullbacks and central defenders, and of course the big gaping holes that we leave in midfield. The likes of Casemiro and Meno not mobile enough to cover the spaces. Of course, Foden scored that 2 goals against us in the last derby at the Etihad, and he exploited those kind of spaces. And with Haaland, of course, he'll push back our defenders. So there'll be even more spaces. Of course, DIALLO has an important role to play because he inverts and he needs to come inside. Ahmad and Garnacho have to do a lot more running. I think they have to work real hard off the ball, avoid giving City, freedom of the pitch. Of course, the likes of Fernandes and Casemiro have to show dexterity, have to show structural and positional awareness, because we cannot let City have the freedom of the pitch of Wembley, a big pitch. So I think it's very important that the players stick to their positions and don't rush into pressing movements. Of course, the likes of Rodri, this season he's also joined attacks quite a lot. He's somebody who moves with the ball and attracts attention and traffic, which leaves the likes of Guardiola up the flank. And of course, Guardiola has scored a lot of goals, and this is due to the pressure that City has with that with the constant possession, constant circulation of the ball. Of course, they have got fast, strong defenders. course, Ortega will be involved in the build-up as well, and the likes of Walker provides them that insurance at the back because he has the recovery pace to catch anybody. So I think it's important that United, crowd this section of the field and try to get the turnover and then hit the likes of HOJLUND and Garnacho and Ahmad on the counter attack against these three players and get that 3-on-1 or 4-on-1 if possible, if Fernandes can join the attack as well. I think this is important. If United can show positional dexterity and provide a base structure to keep the likes of Foden, Haaland out, I think we can get some opportunities because City do, even though they haven't lost since December, I think they are vulnerable on the counter attack still. Even with the likes of Diaz and Akanji, even Guardiola, I think one-on-one he's not the best defender. So I think we need to exploit those pace and we need to use our pace against the likes of Diaz and Guardiola and Akanji, who are not the fastest. So I think this will be the game plan for both the teams. Clubs have different stories to tell. They have different narratives. United are vying for a change. They want an overhaul in the summer, starting with the manager. We're not sure whether he'll get the sack even if we lose. And on the other hand, we're not sure whether he'll stay in the job even after winning. I think there are a lot more rumors about the kind of football we produce, the kind of competence and the kind of battle we give Manchester City. I think that will be more important, especially from the people who are looking from the overarching structure of the club. For City, of course, they missed out on the treble this time around with Real Madrid, the penalty shootout loss, but obviously they'll want a double at least. Kovacic, who have come in this season, of course, they are hungry for the FA Cup. They haven't won it with City yet. So I think they'll be champing at the bits to produce that kind of performance as well as get that victory at the end of the match. I think for me, it'll be interesting to see Foden. Obviously, he's been in top form this year. Obviously, he's got quality. We know since he came into the side, he's been slowly integrated into the team. I think he's become one of the leaders of the team on the pitch in terms of football. And I think with his clutch goals and that the quality in the big moments, he's certainly been the man who's produced those moments for them in the last 5 to 6 weeks. For United, of course, there are many players who are fighting for the future. Of course, for us in the last couple of matches, the likes of Amrabat and Ahmad have been a big improvement. And certainly with Ahmad, the kind of quality he's shown on the ball and obviously the composure. I like to see him achieve that level of performance that he did against Liverpool, produce it on the day that matters, the day where the world's watching and there will be microscopic scrutiny over him and every other United player. I just want him to do well and inshallah he'll deliver. And inshallah, if he can score and get that confidence, who knows, we might actually see Ahmad winner in the FA Cup final in a Manchester derby. Inshallah, we get a victory and finally end this Ten Hag chapter, which has been a dark chapter, but it has had his highs. The Carabao Cup final. I think if the FA Cup is delivered, I think there'll be another high, but certainly it doesn't mean that we need to stick with him. He needs to go. If he goes the trophy, I think that'll be the best farewell and goodbye we can mutually have as the club and the fans and as well as the man himself. So inshallah we get a victory. We'll be back with the Red Dissection episode, the final Red Dissection episode of the season. Please join us for that. Until then, take care, do good, pray for Palestinians, all the oppressed people all across the globe. Assalamu alaikum.